Hello, young scholars. This is Mr. Burby coming at you from his virtual classroom to teach you a brief lesson on how to do how-to writing. Interesting. That's a little ironic. In the past days and weeks, you may have been fortunate enough to find something new to do around your house. Maybe you've actually made your bed for the first time, or perhaps you're doing the laundry to help out, or maybe you've done some baking or some cooking. Perhaps you've even done something you're proud of, like finishing a video game or something like that. Perhaps you can see the value of finishing things and knowing how to do things, especially when there's no one around to ask. But whatever it is you might have done, you can probably already see how important it is to learn how to do new things. So maybe that's what education's all about anyway. Anyway, Miss Estes and I would like your second ELA assignment to be something focused around writing directions or giving directions. Now, you might have seen directions whenever you've needed to put something together, like perhaps a recipe. Many Lego kits come with fold-out directions with nothing but pictures. Directions become essential to your education because a lot of the time you're going to have to follow them on your own. And there's no better way to learn how to read directions than actually having to write some. So chances are today, if you need to know how to do anything, you can find a video about it, or you can find a web page on it on the internet. So that's what we're going to work on. It's pretty important to be able to follow directions, but you may have reached that point in your education where it's time to give them. So remember, if you can give directions on how to do something, then you won't have to do it for other people. If you can, well, the old adage is, if you give a man a fish, you've fed him for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, of course, you fed him for his lifetime. He's going to eat a lot of fish. Well, this week, you're the teacher, so let's get started. This week, we'd like you to write either a set of directions, or we'd like you to make a video showing us how to do or make something. You can write your set of directions as a Google Doc, or you can make a video, but make sure, if you make the video, that you are narrating the directions very clearly. The instructions that I'm about to give are true if you're writing a video, or if you're making just, if you're writing a paper, or if you're making a video. Here are some things that you need to remember. Now I'm going to do a little something called screen sharing, so you can see. I made a little presentation for you. Okay, so now we are going to learn how to write directions. Remember when we studied the nonfiction text structures in reading? This assignment is actually a set of directions that had to be carried out at a time, one at a time, throughout a period of time. So it's sequential order. The word sequential meaning done one step at a time throughout time. Do the first thing first, the second thing second, the third thing third. Okay, so as you can see on this slide, your title should include the words how to, followed by the thing or the task you're describing. Now, in this case, I'm actually going to show you how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Notice, though, in the title that all of the major words begin with capital letters, something that many of you are still struggling with. And titles, in case you didn't know, should follow this convention. The smaller words in the title, like the, and, or, do not need to be capitalized unless they are the first words in a sentence. Otherwise, all the words in the title should be capitalized, all the first letters of the words. So, you know, and in this one it says how to write directions. Well, I've capitalized how, write, and directions, but I haven't capitalized to because it's not necessary. You can, and you're not going to get a whole lot of trouble for it, but the standard convention is to do that. A lot of you have just been writing it like a sentence. A title is not a sentence. A title has a different purpose. It's a name. So because it's a name, it's a proper noun. The title should also be centered and at the top of your paper, and you can use a cool font, and it can be slightly larger if you like. Okay, let's go to the next slide. First, we're going to write an introduction. That introduction serves to tell the reader what's coming. Now, you might think the title does that, but a lot of people skip the title. And introductions are just formally part of this kind of writing. So all you need to do is keep it simple. Remember what I told you before. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and so you're going to tell them what's coming. Also, you want to strike a really positive attitude in your writing, so you want to make them feel like they can do it. So the example I have is sometimes you're hungry and you want something to eat that you can prepare quickly and easily and with little mess afterwards. You also want it to be delicious. For so many people, the go-to food that is easy to make, delicious, and nutritious is the perennial favorite of childhood, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, anyone can make this delightful snack. You can too. This is how you do it. Notice when I did that, I tried to be really positive so that they felt like they could do it. Also, I want you to know something interesting about this kind of writing is that you're writing in the second person. It's using you all the time. You're always saying you do this and you do that. We don't do that in any other kind of writing, just instructions and how to. So teachers do it all the time. Teachers are always talking in the second person. They're always saying you do this and you do that. Parents too. But otherwise, we rarely do that. So it's kind of cool that one of the few times in your life you'll be writing in the second person to someone named you, or whose pronoun is you. Next slide is about ingredients. So it's a list of ingredients. You need to write down the word ingredients and then follow it with a list of ingredients or items that you'll need to complete the instructions. Now, word of warning, please be specific. You list types of things, quantity of things, and amount of things. If you're doing an actual recipe for food, that's obvious, but even if you're just showing how to make your bed, you want to make sure you tell them specifically what you're doing and what they'll need. Okay, that's good. So you want, again, to remember, list amounts, measurements, quantity, kinds, and types. Okay, the last one that we worry about is the directions. Now, this seems self-evident. You're going to label it directions, and then underneath that, you're going to make a list of actions to be taken in sequential order. So label each step carefully and remember that you're supposed to be writing this for a reader who will be confused if you put things in the wrong order or if you are not specific. So keep that reader in mind as you write these directions. So I put down here, as you can see, I mean, you know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I mean, if you don't, you can read this, but I'm not going to go through it with you. I chose a very, very easy example for you. Obviously, I'm hoping you'll choose something a little more sophisticated than this fourth grade writing assignment. I hope you'll do something a little more sophisticated than that. But that's about it. You don't need to write a conclusion because your final step is it. The person following the instructions will know that you're done as long as your final step it concludes the instructions. Now, if you want, you can add photographs to your document to make it easier for the reader to follow. I always like that when I find the photographs on a web page. So while it's not required, it is a good way to improve the odds that the reader will be successful and they followed your directions. And, you know, I think because you have iPads and other things, you have cameras and phones, you could do it. It'd be kind of fun to do. I did one, so I'm going to show you my directions here. I actually wrote directions on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Again, very easy. I did it on purpose. But as you can see, I put the name and my name, the teacher's name, grade 7 ELA, and the date. And then in the center of the page, using a slightly different font, I put in how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then, obviously, I took a picture of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I made. Then I put in my introduction, then my list of ingredients, as you can see, and then my directions. And I have step 1. And I put in pictures where I thought they were needed so that people would understand. So you don't have to put a lot of pictures in. Notice I think I only have 3 or 4 pictures in this whole thing. But it's helpful, especially that last picture, to show what it's supposed to be like. But you really want to do that. Now, this didn't take me very long. It shouldn't take you very long. And so I'm hoping that you can actually have a little fun with this. But I'm hoping you choose something a little more sophisticated than how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Have fun with this, you know. Think about it before you start doing it and come up with a couple of things you know you're good at and you know you can do already. And if you do that, it'll be really easy to write because you already have it in your head. You already know how to do it. But slow your thoughts down. Remember, take your time when you're doing this because you don't want to skip a step or take anything for granted. When people write sets of directions, they are very careful not to write a set that leaves out anything or that is confusing. So maybe before you pass this in, you could share it with a friend. And you can do that using the Google Share function or even email, or even have someone in your house look at it. So there you go. That's your assignment. I'm going to stop sharing here, and then I'm going to say my goodbyes for the week. We're going to have conferences this week on Wednesdays. We're going to try to do conferences on Wednesdays. We're going to experiment with Zoom. I'm recording this on Zoom, and you can too. Zoom's a really cool app that you can use to record yourself. So that's it. I hope you all are ready. Well, this will be due next Sunday, the 12th, I think. And until then, you also have a reading assignment to look at on Common Lit. So there you go. Good luck. And I hope you're all safe. And I hope you're all peaceful. And I hope you're good to everyone in your home. Okay, we'll see you soon.